So maybe I'll just get started here with a little introduction. We had invited Frances Sampson to do a welcome this morning. I do know she's had some family that isn't well, so something may have come up. If we can, we'll have her come to Leah's second session, which is going to be at the session, I believe. But for now, we'll just go ahead. I want to acknowledge that we're on unceded Gitxsan territory, and the Mystery Rivers Arts Center is on the territory of the House of Nicodean. We're very grateful to have an ongoing relationship with the House of Nicodean. We had a little exhibit when we first started doing exhibits at the Art Center. We had an exhibit by members of the House of Nicodean. I think it was Leah Pipe was the main art historian. Maybe you can fill us in. Were there other artists in that show? No, so it was Larry Needon was the artist in that show, I believe.
Yes, that was.
Yes, okay, thank you, Lauren. That was before I moved back, so thanks for confirming. And yeah, we're very grateful to be building that ongoing relationship. So I think with that, I will go ahead and turn things over to Leah. Just once more, I'll let everyone know that we are recording this session. So we're hoping to share it later to get a little bit of broader reach, just so you're aware with your video and sound. And if there's any sound in the background, if you can just mute unless you need your sound on to ask a question or something like that. All right, so I'll turn it over to Leah. Thanks everyone for being here.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. Yeah, like Cynthia said, if you don't mind muting your microphones until you want to chat with me, and then it just makes it a little bit clearer. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, thanks for coming to my house this morning. I'm so excited to have guests. I've been looking forward to this all week. And this is Clyde. He's in my lap right now. Leah doesn't go far without Clyde, very close nearby. Anyway, some of you have been in my house before, and some of you, of course, haven't. And I'm really thrilled to have you. Thanks for spending Saturday morning with me. Just to give you some information about me, I'm a Northern BC artist. I live in the Hazelton's area, like Cynthia mentioned, on unceded Gitxsan territory, which we acknowledge today. And I live in a teeny little house.
And I told them that I felt that there were too many limited entries being given away to guide outfitters. And I said that there's no accountability for First Nations in the amount of moose that they take, and the cows and the calves. And
are we linking into some broadcast?
I said, if I was to do that, then I'm charged.
Miller is
so
not
you cannot have two laws. You know, you're going to have racism if you have two laws all the time. Anyway, so we'll see what happens out of it. I can see what's going to happen. There's going to be more limited entry.
I'm going to go ahead and mute him myself here. Okay, I think we're good. Go ahead, Leah.
Okay. Yes, so welcome everybody. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me first, and a little bit about my house and the work that I do. Like I said, I live in the Hazelton's area, Northern BC, which is about, all I know is it's about a 16-hour drive from Vancouver and 3 hours inland from Prince Rupert. And I've been living in this little house for almost 20 years. The footprint is 24 feet by 40 feet. And in city standards, sometimes I've sat in this house and I've realized I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment in the city by city measures. But I have huge windows in my house. In 20 years, I've never felt the walls kind of closing in. I think I do well in small spaces. And I've had outside spaces before. But over time, I've found that I'm more comfortable for me working from home. And so my home is slowly converted into a studio. At one point, it was pretty much studio with a bed. But recently, I started bringing in some more homey stuff and actually got myself a dining table, which I'm sitting at right now. And working from home is so, I really love it. But one thing that I've noticed is that throughout the year, each year, I have the house is just bursting with projects. It's overrun with projects. And this is when I'm like, where is everybody? This would be a great time for people to come by. And randomly throughout the year, they all get shipped these projects and there's nothing in the house. And there's these little reprieves. And that's when I get calls from some local people saying, hey, can we come by your home and see what you're working on? And I'm like, where were you 3 weeks ago? So that's why I'm extra excited, because I don't think I've seen my house so full of projects right now. And I'm so excited to have friends here to talk with and to show you my space and the pieces I'm working on. I'm also going to go into the materials I use, and for artists that are listening in and want to know what I work with. So I'm happy to share that. And also a little bit of information from me about me is I am represented by the Inuit Gallery in Gastown. I've been there for about 4 years, and which is pretty awesome. It's like kind of a dream come true for me. And the requirement for me as an artist being part of that gallery is I ship 2 collections of paintings a year to them. And the first collection is due in May, and that is so that they have work during their high season. We're talking pre-COVID typically. So May to September is their high tourist season and high season. So this is the time of year that I'm usually painting those paintings. And for me, a collection is anywhere from 8 to 15 pieces, variety of sizes. And then they made me their feature artist for September, which is really, really cool. A great honor. And so they've asked for a separate collection for the September feature, which is 8 to 15 paintings. So from September till May, I just produce almost 20 paintings to go to the Inuit Gallery. And that's, like I said, super honor. It's been a dream come true. The interesting part, and artists will really understand this, is the work gets shipped down there and it's by consignment. So a painting could sell in 2 weeks, it can sell in 2 months, it can sell in 2 years. So there's all this flurry of work that goes down to the gallery, and which is what I'm in right now. And there's not necessarily sales at the end of that. So working as a professional artist, you're kind of juggling all this kind of stuff. And I do bring in custom commissions, and that's keeps me busy throughout the year. And most of my commissions these days are from local northern people, which we're in an amazing region, and people really support our local artists. And then I have the odd commission from people that are outside of BC, which is pretty exciting. And I'm officially working as a professional artist. It's taken 25 years, but I quit my day job in December 2019. And a few months later, COVID happened. And some of the pluses to COVID, if I may say, some artists have been saying this, that with the shutdown and people being at home, people were like, let's paint our bedroom and let's renovate our house. And we really need a painting there. So, it has created some flow and requests. So that's been good. And I'm made for the shutdown. Many artists work in isolation. And so it's been kind of exciting that way. And also arts have become much more important, it seems, to people's lives, and the world's been on pause and much more integral and in self-reflective. And so art, music, all sorts of written word has become more important, I think, to the global scene. And so that's really great. Anyways, I thought that I would, before I start the tour, I wanted to give a little extra information. I'm 4th generation to live here in the Hazeltons, and I've been here, gosh, almost 30 years. I left for a while and came back. And my work is reflective of the North, I would say, predominantly wildlife that's here. And I work in acrylic on canvas. I also do some drawings on paper. And I work with a variety of different paints. So for those of you that probably know, I paint ravens and ravens and more ravens, more ravens and wolves and owls. I have currently a buffalo in the works, which I'm really excited to share with you. And I've never painted a buffalo before. I've been in awe of those creatures for a very long time through wonderful, professional photographers who captured their essence, and I've never had the opportunity. And yeah, so I'm going to get to show you that. And I thought I'd start the tour right from the front door so that you can see the whole house. And I was going to say, Cynthia, this kind of studio visits I find personally really exciting as an artist, but I was thinking about possibly a series that could happen, because I'd love to see where people work. I was thinking I'd love to see Simone Allwood's studio and Todd Stockner's woodworking studio, and not necessarily if things are in production. It's really, where do people live and where do they work and how do they surround themselves, and so anyways, just tossing that out there.
I love that.
I hope you find this.
I love how I was so surprised at how popular this was, and I would love to do more of these. Great. I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. Yeah, I just thought of a variety of Michelle Stoney, all sorts of artists. Like, what's their home life like? And so I hope everyone finds this interesting and enjoys our time together. I would like to put it out there that please just interrupt me anytime if you have a question about anything I'm showing you. I'd love that. I'd love some interaction, and it helps so that I'm not talking for 2 hours straight, because I will blabble on, as you can tell. So I will just start the tour. Okay, Clyde, let go of my dress. Thank you. And I'm going to start right from the front door. It's not far to go. Here we go. This is my front door behind me, and welcome to my house. Here's my front entrance. Of course, we have beautiful winter right now. I don't know where everybody's from, but possibly a lot of locals. And then you walk in here, and this is my little kitchen. And as you can see, I have 2 big paintings that are being wrapped. They're going to be photographed this weekend. And over here is my little art nook. And I have all this kind of inspiration images that I plaster onto the walls. And these are all my brushes, which I'll get to later. And then this gives you a kind of an overview of my house. This is Lucy's bed. So I have 2 cats. They take over the house. That was a nice workspace until Lucy took it. And there she is. This is the dining room. And the buffalo. Show you guys this. I'm pretty excited. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Yeah, the buffalo. And then this little side room is an office and laundry room. But I just want to show that there's everywhere in my house seems to be art. This is a frame that needs to be reframed. I've got my portfolio cases and all kind of my inspiration. This is a Canada Goose wing. This is a painting drawing my grandfather Frank did. And I have numerous shells and feathers, as many artists do, and canned goods. Yeah, this is my little computer area. And then over here, this is the entrance to the bathroom. And I have stacked canvases that are blank and waiting for their time. This is a little dining room area. These illustrations are by a German illustrator named Hans Hummel. And anyways, I'd love to talk more about his work, because these gatherings of images, I was thinking of you, Sarah, are called panoplies. And panoply means basically a collection of objects. And you can see how cool is that. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is because I have thought about doing my own panoply. An artist can do a panoply perhaps illustrate or paint a collection of images. And when I research panoplies, they can be a collection of artful images that ward off warring spirits. So can you imagine like a northern panoply? Would it be river rocks and raven feathers and bear paw prints and river rocks? I think I mentioned. Yeah, really cool. Anyways, that's a project that is in the wings for this someday. And then we step down into my living room. Ta-da! My big salmon painting is on the go. It's 4 feet by 4 feet. And it's the only place I sit and chill out is my little living room. And then this guy is 3 feet by 4 feet. It's on the go. Just started it. I don't know if you can see that well. Let me know, guys, if you can't see anything or can't hear me. And requisite moose antlers. I just want to say something about this piece. So Simone, I know that you're looking at this possibly and saying, yeah, we like the black and white style, and I'm with you 100%. This is a painting I did a few years ago. Of course, my little couch and my new cushions that I'm printing, pretty excited. And of course, no visit would be complete without a hello to the mountain. Check out this view I have, you guys. Isn't that amazing? And then this is my bedroom nook. And I have this great collection. Yeah, the view is great. Hey, Zoe? Great collection of artisans. So I wanted to show this. I didn't always paint ravens. This is a drawing I did in my 20s. And that's a self-portrait of me in the middle. And this was my style. I've gone through a variety of styles, as a lot of artists go through exploration. And yeah, I'm gonna do a little presentation about that at one point. And then Michelle Stoney's piece I bought from her, another canvas is waiting in the wings. These two little guys I've just finished. This is a wolf called Wolf River. This is, I got into a little bit of a falcon phase. And they're just waiting for wrapping, and they'll be shipped down to the gallery. And this is a print on canvas. It's one of my test prints for my new website. This is called Raven Girl. She kind of watches me while I'm sleeping, which is a little creepy, but and this is one of my favorite posters. So this is when I first started. It's a show called Wet Cigarette, and you can see the date, 1996. And I was in Victoria at the time, and I had a studio that was above a nightclub and a bakery. And by day, it was a sweet little side street in downtown Victoria, but at night, the night scene and the street scene was very interesting. And I ended up doing portraits of women that were working the street and that whole scene. And so this show, Wet Cigarette, is about that. And that's a whole other video session, I think. But anyways, yeah, kind of like having that, the start of everything. And then we go over here. This is my multiple palettes around the house. These are old, just kitchen plates that are now probably have about 3/4 of an inch of paint on them. They're really heavy. And I have these kind of around the house, and my little wood stove keeping me warm. This is an antique drafting table that I had in my shop when I was in Old Hazelton that I kept. Can't see it because it's loaded up with stuff, but blank canvases are waiting. And then I just want to show you these little guys. So this is a hawk that's finished. I just want to paint the sides. I had some dribbles here. I've got a little bit of touch-ups to do. So this little hawk, and then these pieces are in progress. I've just started them. So I start paintings in one of two ways: full silhouette blackout, and then I will take white pencil or a chalk and I will detail the eye and the beak and all the feathers. And then I go into it with the next layer, which in 2 weeks' time, as Cynthia mentioned, I'm going to be doing another video session like this, and I'm going to demonstrate how I either paint a raven or a salmon, haven't decided. And it's not so much a workshop, but I'm going to just show you what I mean by how I sketch things out. What colors do I use for the next layers, and kind of bring possibly this little raven to life. And if anyone's interested in that, you can let Cynthia know. So this is one way, the silhouette. And then the other way, this is another silhouette. The other way is I actually draw right on the canvas. And typically the smaller ones I do in the silhouette. I find it faster and easier for me to lay in the details rather than the extra step of the pencil. And I can get into that a little bit later, but this little hawk started a while ago. And I gotta say, I gotta tell you that I love the beginnings of paintings and I love the near ends of paintings, but the in between, the paintings can look quite weird. And when I have commissions, I do send progress photos to the clients, and it makes me really nervous because I forget to tell them that, yeah, the creature I'm painting can look very weird through that process. Like the buffalo was orange for a while. Sometimes I have very kind of rainbow disco ravens and they look crazy. And I'm going to say that this salmon here, for example, going back to this. So this sockeye is finished, as you can see. So here's a silhouette. This kind of gives a nice step. Here's the silhouette. The next step I go into is this dark blue, teal, gray, and I outline the details. That's the same for this guy. You can see that's how I map it out. And then the next phase is I put in all these undercolors, underpainting. You can see how crazy the salmon looks, like purple, reds, blues, and ultimately this spring salmon it has a silver to white side, you know, so it's going to change a lot, but I put a lot of colors underneath the top layers. And I think that's how I get depth and a little bit of vibrancy, I think. This is my main workstation. There's my easel. This is a 3 foot by 3 foot raven. It's almost finished, almost. I have, you can see a little bit on how this is the first coats I do, and then I add a bunch of colors too. So thanks, Melanie. This is my paint. I love paint. I smell it and sniff it. And the paint I use is an artist grade fluid acrylic by Golden. You can see one here. There we go. You can see the brand. It's a fluid acrylic. And available, I get my supplies from Opus down in the Vancouver area. They have amazing customer service. And then I also work with commercial paints. I'm going to show you down here. So these are my commercial paints. And I prefer Benjamin Moore Ultimatte. Do you see where it says Ultimatte? I use those for my backgrounds. So when I am doing a color like this, see this bison, it's got this really rich background. And I personally love the Ultimatte because it goes on without any brush strokes. It's seamless, it's velvety, and it's washable. So matte paint in the past, if you even dared kind of touched it, it'll change the sheen of it. But this is the most brilliant paint, is the Benjamin Moore Ultimatte paint. And I've been asked before, like, why do you use commercial paint? And the answer to that, excuse me, is that first of all, the colors are amazing. They're pre-mixed. I'm lazy. And they, like I said, the coverage is great. And so they're kind of pricey. Those little cans can be $45 each. And around the house, I have tons of these cans. And oh, I wanted to show you one more thing here. Oops. So here's the back side of my easel. And behind the easel, I don't know if you can see, but I have stacked canvases behind there. And when you live in a small house, you have to be clever and find hidden spots. So this is a little painting with branches on it. And then I have a little finch go on there, a little bird. And yeah, so if it's okay with everybody, I'll just go through the pieces again and let you know where they're going and where I'm at with them. Is that okay? So these two big guys, Melanie. So these are for a wonderful couple in Hazelton. They ordered 3 paintings, and the one on the easel is the third. And they are going to be photographed. And I did want to mention, if anybody's interested, that photographing paintings, you have to do, in my opinion, I take mine outside. I hang them outside on my garage wall, and I choose a day you want a day that's bright, overcast, and use a tripod. And what you want to try and get is a high resolution image. And because outside atmospherically overcast and bright, then you don't get a lot of kind of atmospheric hazes across it. Photographing art, as everyone probably knows, is a tough thing. So anyways, these guys are going to be photographed today. It's a little too bright out, but anyways, the bison. What do you guys think? I have struggled with this painting. Yay, you guys like it? Oh, awesome. So it's not finished. You can see I have the coat in this kind of rusty orange color. And ultimately the back of the bison is going to be this kind of golden straw color, really golden, and it'll pop out. But I'm thrilled, but I gotta tell you, this bison has been challenging. I have struggled and struggled with this guy, and partly because I've never painted a bison, I think, and partly because I couldn't get the browns right. I couldn't get the texture right. So I had about a week where I was painting and painting and repainting, and that I painted 11 times. It's a new record. It was purple, it was blue, and I just couldn't get it, you guys. And there was a point where I said to myself, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can paint this bison. And I wanted to kind of mention that because, you know, it's something that I think artists should talk about more, is that I've been painting 25 years and you still have pieces where you're like, I don't think I can do this. This isn't happening. And I've painted probably about 100 ravens, possibly. And there's still that odd piece that you just, nothing's lining up. You know, you can't thread the needle. It's just not working, and you labor and labor over it. And each piece is a challenge, you know. And so for our non-artist friends, sometimes they have the kind of a romanticized view of artists that we're just like twirling. Sorry? Yeah, so people think we just twirl around and kind of like cha-da-da-da, but I was describing this to a friend the other day, and so let me know if this analogy works for the other painters out there. My brushwork is really fast. You can see that in 2 weeks when you guys join me to what I'm painting. It's really fast, and I have come up with this analogy is, if you have a painting, so the size of the buffalo painting is 3 feet by 4 feet. So let's say you have a 3 foot by 4 foot window, and you've noticed that there's a thin layer of dust on the window. Bear with me. And you decide, for some crazy reason, to remove the dust with this. That's a 3 foot by 4 foot window with a layer of dust, and you're going to feverishly try to remove the dust with this little brush. And halfway through, you start to notice that the dust isn't going anywhere. It kind of resettles. And so say you do a 4-hour painting session, that is what it's like if you were to dust your window for 4 hours. So you can see how fast you would go and move, and how physical it can be. They're quite physical, these paintings, which I really dig. And you got to get into the mode and into the moment, and all those things have to line up, and often they're not, you know. So anyways, let's see here. This painting, the salmon painting, which I'm really excited about, is going to a show at the Terrace Airport. So I have a show. They have that beautiful big 50-foot wall. And I have a show there from April 9th to August 9th. And so I'm doing a few originals for that show. And this big raven. So Simone, I need to do a collection that's just black and white like this. This is what I call the mapping out. I don't know if you can see my pencil work. So I've sketched it. What's that? How do you keep your, oops, I didn't catch that question. If you want to ask it again, Simone, let me know.
She says, how do you keep your body healthy doing the same motions over and over?
Very good question. For those who know me on a personal level, you don't. Yeah, it's that B word, balance, is just not said in this house. It's a bad word. But when I was in my 20s, I ended up having repetitive strain problems with my neck and shoulder. And I was just painting all the time, usually had a day job, super crazy. And yeah, I pretty much in recent years have, you know, I have what I call my pit crew, which is massage and physio and chiropractor, just keep my little body going. So I see myself as this little artist race car where I just dive into all these projects and I whip off to the side, the pit crew work me and they get my wheels back onto the highway and I'm gone again. And many times throughout my life, I've come to complete breaking points, to be super honest with you, where I can't do this anymore. And what is it with creativity? What is it with passion, you know, and dreams? And why are we so compelled to capture things or create things, sometimes at our peril or sometimes at hurting our bodies, hurting our financial bottom lines? Like, I'm really mystified by the minds and lives and hearts of artists. And I'd love to have a dialogue at some point, a panel dialogue, just even exploring that, because I don't know about you guys, but I've, like I said, I've had multiple kind of breaking points, physically, mentally, financially. And I've had to ask myself, like, why do I continue to do this? And I've had close members of my family very worried for me. And they've been like, you need to give this up. Like, you need to just give up art and just do it as a hobby. And it's prompted me to explore, like, why is this strong drive within that you can be injured and hobbling around, and if you have even a slight break, you pick up a paintbrush, you know. And I think about that term starving artist, but also the torture of being an artist. And I have to say, being an artist for the last 30 years has been probably one of the hardest, most challenging lives for me, and one of the also the greatest and most exhilarating lives I've ever been able to imagine. So I seem to have those two polarities, go through really rough times and then these super highs of doing community projects and meeting people, doing things like this. It just affirms that for some reason we're on this earth to create. And I can't understate the value of art. I mean, I'm sure everyone agrees that art propels our society forward, reflects our society. And I've had to ask myself, does the world need another pretty little raven? Why do I do this? Anyways, I find that psychology in the core of artists very interesting. And when I talk to other artists, which is really good to do, is to connect with other artists. You see, you're not alone, that you're not crazy. And yeah, discipline and balance is a tough thing to do. So I struggle to take care of my body and my health, to be honest. I have recently developed a website, which possibly maybe some of you have checked out. And what I've been asked for years is if I offer, you know, my work on prints on canvas for sale. And it took years to get to that point, mostly because I had to work a day job. So I only had evenings to work on my art, and you just kind of pick along at it. And so I'm hoping that in the next few years to come, that will help the physical demands of making physical art and originals, that I'll have possibly some prints that'll bring in some income to help me as I get a little bit older and kind of balance out my crazy life. And just when things are so overloaded and just when things are so busy, you're capped off and you're just working your body. And I hire friends to come help me. In fact, Lorraine is on here with us. She's been an underpainter for me. Adele Harrigan, the amazing Alexa Tybalt. She's been working with me lately, and they help me with these first layers and each painting. So for example, the buffalo, if I can go back to the buffalo for a second. The buffalo started off much like that raven, just black. I always start with black and then build up the colors. Ultimately, when this buffalo is finished, the painting will have been 20 layers of color. Even those salmon, they're anywhere from 15 to 20 layers of color. And so these wonderful people have come to help me as a team to kind of sketch out and prep these canvases and do base layers, and their work's invaluable to me. So and then I carry on and cover everything and do my Leah stuff. But so that's because I haven't been able to kind of deal with my body, and I'm finally working full time as an artist. I need some studio help, and yeah, so that's been pretty cool. And these little guys are going to be going down to the gallery in Gastown as well. This is the third raven for the two there. Can you imagine these three together? These people have a really high wall, which is really going to be great. And this is pretty much my house right now. If you have any questions, let me know. I was just going to talk about a few more things, but if you want to see anything else, let me know.
Leah, there was a question further back. Do you offer prints?
Okay.
Do you offer prints of private commissions, or is that decided with the client?
I do offer prints of private commissions, and I do articulate that when I'm hired to do a custom piece, especially if it's a bison or a raven. I try to communicate that, and artists do retain copyrights. So when you sell a painting, you don't sell the right to reproduce that painting, so that person legally can't make cards of it and take photos of it. So you retain that. And what you do with your copyright legally is totally up to you. I do like to tell people, sometimes I forget about that, but in the odd time though, there is a custom commission that has really deep sentimental or emotional importance to the person. Certainly if there's a portrait of a person involved that's close to their heart. If it's personal, then I won't do a reproduction of it. Most of my work is of wildlife, and so people are pretty okay with that. And technically and legally, artists can do that and reproduce. So I try and communicate that. I hope that answers that question. And it's a good question.
That question was from Amy. And then Sarah asks, do you prefer painting big or small?
Right. So I prefer big. If I had to choose, I do love both, but ironically, painting large is easier for me. And you'd think, like when I had a shoulder injury a long time ago, and the specialist said that you'll never paint again. You'll never make art again. This is when I turned 30. And I was out of commission for about 2 years. I couldn't even lift a grocery bag. I couldn't have a purse. I was super out of commission. I went home to Comox where my parents were, convalesced in their basement. It was terrible. It was a tough time. And the specialist said to me, you'll never paint again. All these things, and you need to look at a totally different career. And so I was pretty devastated about that. And I went through a pretty rough time. I felt really lost, and now, how many years later, I have discovered that they were half right and half wrong. And obviously, I'm still making art, but I've done so in a lot of pain. So I have a lot of pain management that I kind of do. So with my neck and shoulder, my old injuries, you'd think that curling up and doing small would be less taxing on the body, and it is in a way, but you have to be so much more technical when you have such a little space. If your little raven head is only this big, or your little falcon, you have to create some kind of dynamic expression in a small space of time. And for me, my body gets really tight to do that. You get really almost in this kind of position. When you have a large painting on the wall or on the easel, you can almost be a little bit more open, and these longer strokes are more fluid and easier and much more forgiving than this tiny little feather pattern that you have to paint. And so aesthetically, I love the little ones, but painting them, I really enjoy the big ones. And the bigger, the better.
There's a question from Simone here. Who are some artists that inspire you?
Excellent question. It changes all the time. And probably for you guys too, especially now with social media and Instagram. I mean, wow, the works that's being done globally, it's just an influx of super inspiration daily on our little Instagram feeds. Amazing. But the traditional painters, kind of the foundational painters, I'm currently into I don't know how he gets that talent. We're drawn to artists that don't paint like by Twombly. And this abstract expressionist, like I don't know why, but I'm so tight and photo based and can express emotion just through markings and loose. And I've tried a few times to do it. It kills my shoulder, but I just admire that freedom and that confidence to move around and to be really physical with paint. And like I said, I would love to be able to try and do that. So Cy Twombly is a really big inspiration for me. Local or current artists on Instagram are Lauren Brevner. She's out of Vancouver. And following some really cool mural artists. So mural artists are a big source of inspiration for me. There's a guy on Instagram named Findac, Findac, I think. He's out of the UK. And not just putting images onto exterior walls, but gritty, interesting, edgy art that you would find in, say, a contemporary gallery out on a brick wall. I'm just thrilled by that. And yeah, I hope that answers your question. It changes a lot, but like I said, I'm really drawn to artists that I can't do what they do, and so inspired. And I'm also really inspired by artists in the North and the work ethic here and the dedication to art. And I appreciate that. I've had over the years friends from the city say to me, like, oh, you need to move to the city. Like if you want to be a professional artist. And thankfully, with the advent of the internet and social media, we all know that's not necessarily true. You can be where your heart is, and that is where your art is. But there was good 20 years where I had pressures from friends, and they had good intentions, but they were insistent that I would have to go to an urban center to make it. And I would tell them, I have never painted buildings and cityscapes, and I need to be in nature. So I need to be here. So anyways, that's finally proven false. You can be anywhere in the world and you can follow any kind of inspiration. When I was starting out, I'm going to tell you guys, for years, I painted and drew for myself. And I thought, well, no one would really be interested in a drawing of a pine cone or a feather. And I find these things interesting. I can't imagine, you have this dialogue that happens. And it wasn't until I was probably in my 30s, I went down to Whistler and saw some galleries down there, and I saw a little painting of a bear, a black bear. It was on sale for like $8,000 in this high-end gallery. And I was like, what? People outside of our little northern area appreciates, like, the dialogue and the narrative you tell yourself as an artist is something to really dissect. It's something I'd love to talk more about because I've been there. And I didn't have confidence in my work until I was in my mid 40s, to be perfectly honest. Even though I was producing work, it wasn't until I was 45 where I kind of just finally was like, I am who I am. I paint what I paint, and I'm going to put my heart out there. And when I was coming up in the 20s, and when I was in my 20s, sorry, there wasn't internet and social media, and the gallery, it was called the gallery circuit. And you went around with your wares, kind of like, you know, scratching at the door, like, hi, pick me, pick me. And the power was all in these handful of galleries, thousands of artists for 6 high-end galleries. And we were all vying and jockeying for, like, can you pick me? And that was really the only venues. And at that time, galleries had all the power. And it was really tough as a young artist because some of them were not friendly. They were like hand in the face, no. And at the time, and when I was in my 20s, realism was not accepted as a fine art. And so I was told, no, you're an illustrator, you're not an artist. No, you're a commercial artist, you're not a fine artist. And so I was turned away a lot based on that. And I had some galleries that would try to change me. This one high-end gallery gave me the time of day, and he said, you know, if you make your marks more blurred and more abstracted, and if you do this, and he was really kind of coaching me along, then I would consider showing your work. And I was in my 20s, and I thought, okay. And so I did a box. I think it turned out pretty good, but it wasn't me. And I thought, well, I can do 8 pieces, but I have nothing left. And I did have my foot in that gallery for a little bit, and I laughed, couldn't sustain it. I couldn't conjure that. And so yeah, for 20 years of my little adult life pursuing art, I was told, you're not a fine artist, you're not a real artist, you're a draftsman, you're an illustrator. And back then that was in that camp strictly, and galleries only showed fine art. And it wasn't until I saw, maybe in my 30s, late 30s, I saw a little shift in the art world where super high realism came into fashion, but only in really large scale. So it still had to be something different. You couldn't have a little painting of, say, wine glasses. But if I saw an artist that did like 20-foot painting of wine glasses and hitting all the faceted glass, like super technical, super high end, but it still was considered fine art only because it was so grand. And I remember being so frustrated thinking, well, I don't have a studio space to house a 20-foot canvas. How do you even make a 20? I don't have any money. Like, it just never seemed to kind of get your foot in the door. And when I was in my mid 40s, I opened my own little gallery in Old Hazelton, my own little shop. And that's when I was 45. And I actually said, fine, I'm a commercial artist. Fine. Call me an illustrator. Fine. I didn't care anymore. And back in my 20s, you never would put anything on a tote bag or a mug, heaven forbid. They called you a sellout. You sold out to the machine. And yet I'm part graphic designer and part artist. And so product development is really exciting for me. And I sat on ideas for 20 years. Like, oh, can't do that. No, I won't be respected. I won't be considered an artist. And it wasn't until my mid 40s that I thought, I love designing things on pencil cases and tote bags. And I am a product designer, and I am an illustrator. I don't care what you call me. And that's when my art, like, I'm telling you guys, I don't care what you call me. And I gave up on the gallery circuit. I will never try this again. Like, I was out. And right around that time, blogs came out and Etsy showed up, and these platforms for artists. And that changed everything. The power went to the artists all of a sudden, shifted from the galleries to the artists. And now we have social media, we do our own social media, and that's a full-time job, isn't it? You get what you put into social media. And so anyways, I hope I didn't go too long on that subject, but it's just, I want others to know that people think I've been doing this since I was a kid and working at this level. It's been a really interesting journey of self-doubt and, you know, sitting on real dreams for a really long time because of a negative narrative and also doors that are closed in your face. And what I have learned, you guys, is somewhere in the world, someone is going to love it if you love it. And ultimately, it's not the reason we make art. Ultimately, we make art so that, you know, this urge comes out, whatever itch we need to scratch, whatever we're searching for. And that's that crazy thing I was talking about earlier about why do we do this? It doesn't matter what you create, where you create it, when you do. And art is so therapeutic and inspiring. And like I said, if you love it, chances are you'll find a soulmate out there that loves it as well. And yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. And my work, I mentioned, I haven't always painted ravens. Like I said, I did all sorts of crazy exploration in the past, and I think I've found my sweet spot. And now I'm in my 50s. And you want to hear something weird? When I was 24, I believed in my heart my best work would happen in my 50s. Who thinks that as a 24-year-old? You know, but I had this deep sense that in my 50s, I'll find out who I am. And maybe that was from witnessing other artists in their 50s and 60s that were hitting their groove. And you almost have to go through all these lessons and trials and closed doors possibly to fine tune your craft and test your resolve, test your insanity. Now I'm working full time as an artist. I wanted to share with you guys how interesting it is. And when you are younger, you have delusions of grandeur. And all that I could daydream about is, wouldn't it be great when one day income is coming in from the work I'm doing, and you have this romanticized view of like, I'll just wake up every day, I will paint, I'll be free of all the jobs and making a living and day jobs. And I freelance as a graphic designer. And what I'm finding is 75% of my time is spent not painting. It's actually spent in the business of art. And I'm not complaining because I do enjoy it, but I'm kind of surprised. Like this 30-year held dream is like, wow, I'm doing it. But it's 75% is packing art, photographing art, emailing, social media. it's researching, it's working with clients. They send me pictures of their homes, and then I do Photoshop and do these concepts, which can take up to a week to do, like a lot of computer work. It's fascinating to me. So I'm doing all these pieces that you see. I'm in high production. 25% of my week is actually with a wet paintbrush on a canvas. And I want to invert that, but you're running a business. And I know that's not romantic, and that kind of spoils the idea of it. But I think unless you have incredible wealth, you may not be able to just tra-la-la and what am I going to paint today? You know, I'm thrilled. Don't get me wrong. I've been a graphic designer for years, so all that is second nature for me. And I'm lucky because I'm a graphic designer, I can do ads and campaigns. So a lot of artists don't know how to do that and are stuck. And so I appreciate that a lot because I have 25 years as a graphic designer. I've just been doing all ads for everybody else, all my clients. And so I've wanted to, like, one day I will do it for myself. And so anyways, it's interesting, super interesting life. Even though I've said that, there's still nothing compares to just being in your own studio working, right? It's like that saying about fishing or sewing, you know, it's a bad day fishing is still a great day in the studio. And I'm in love. I'm in love every day. I just have populated my little space, and my process of painting is very emotional, even though it's a bison or a raven. I feel extreme exhilaration, passion, and excitement. And many years ago, when I was about in my 30s, I was kind of trying to be a normal person and have a social life and be with friends. And when around that time, I saw that bear down in the Whistler Gallery, and I was like, oh, other people are painting bears. I think I can do this. I started painting in my evenings and weekends. I worked 24/7 all the time, my day job, in my evenings. And that's when I found this shift where people were like, hey, we're going to the hockey game on Friday and we're going to go to Pizza Hut. You want to come? And I was like, no. What's far more exciting is I have like Lord of the Rings epic drama happening on a canvas. Like, so this shift happened for me, you know, where it really became my life. And my way to connect to the community is through my art. And very important to me. I'm a solo person, and the community has become my family, and this is how I connect. So when people comment or reach out, like, it means a lot to me. Of course, artists work in isolation, but any likes or comments are super constructive for me. And it's almost like, you know, when my parents were alive, I would say, hey, look what I painted, look what I did. Like, you have that familial, like, hey, good job, Leah. So I've kind of, yeah, you guys have become my benchmark, my feedback, and my kind of human connection through a bison and through a raven. And anyways, one more thing I wanted to add is I was recently referred to as a wildlife artist. And although there's nothing wrong with that, there's amazing wildlife artist. Glenn Coates is another artist that inspires me. He's highly real, highly technical painter of wildlife. The term threw me off, where I was like, I'm not a wildlife painter. And I consider myself a portrait painter. So the portraits that I paint happen to be covered with feathers and fur, and I do people as well. And I'm having a bit of a shift in that area and finding a new path with painting people. And it's about the eyes and the expression and the emotion. I feel I'm a portrait painter, so I don't paint the backgrounds, as you noticed. I don't have trees and sky and mountainscapes and habitat that these wonderful animals live in. Partly because I guess I am so exhilarated and thrilled to study, say, a raven's eye or their feather pattern. For me, they're just mind-blowing. And my brother always teases me that I use the word amazing all the time. Like, everything's amazing. Isn't that amazing? And I find these details and these natural, you know, elements and these creatures phenomenal. And the background to me would be a distraction if I'm asking you to look at this painting. I'm asking you to join me and not look at the habitat, but study that beak and the cracks that are in it and the colors that are in it. Study that raven eye, how phenomenal that glass orb is. And so that's why I think I eliminate the backgrounds and just do a white or a color block, just the drama in a face, whether it's an animal, bird, or human face. And that's how I started off, actually. You look back in my history, when I was a kid, I started drawing when I was 12, self-taught, and it all started with people faces. I did, when I was in my 20s, I was living in Edmonton, and I did portraits of people in the kind of the Dust Bowl era, in the Depression era, and faces that tell a story, eyes that tell an emotion. It's only in recent years that I've shifted more into animals and birds, but I've done a lot of people portraits, and I see these creatures as people with fur and feathers and a story to tell. And, anyways, I'm blabbing on, so maybe I'll pause. If anybody has a question for me or wants to make a comment, I'd love to hear.
Simone added another question, and maybe after I read this, we could just open it up for verbal questions. I think it'd be nice.
Okay.
Simone asked, any more murals in the near future?
Murals. So last year I had a car accident about a week before the pandemic happened. A really bad car accident. So I injured my neck. This is not supposed to be a poor me story. It's just factual. And the pandemic happened. So all the practitioners like massage and physio, and they all shut down for like 4 or 5 months. And so, oh my goodness. I was in pretty rough shape, and I had a mural booked for Terrace. I don't know if anybody has seen the Terrace mural. That was August last year. And excuse me, anyways, the practitioners opened up, I think in June, and I just stacked all my appointments. I was like, felt like bionic woman, we can rebuild her. You know, like I was like, get my body going. I have this huge project to do. And we went, Lorraine came too. We did a mural, 50-foot wall in Terrace in 10 days. We got rained on every day. But anyways, on the last day, I re-injured my shoulder. And this is pertinent to the story. Last year, at around that time, I had 6 more murals booked for the next 2 years. That's this summer and the next summer. 6. That was like 2 in Smithers, I think 2 in Hazelton, 1 in Kitimat, 1 in Terrace. Like, wow, this is amazing. And I love mural art. And in the north here, I want to try to always push the envelope a little bit, even though I do ravens and wolves and stuff. I want to do the unexpected on a wall. And so 6 murals were booked, Simone, and then these injuries happened last year, and I'm getting some special treatments on my neck next week that possibly promise that I might be able to continue my art career and possibly, maybe in time, continue doing murals. So Two Sisters restaurant in Smithers, Christine has talked to me, and she just messaged me the other day saying, you're gonna do the mural this year? So I'll know in the next few months, but I might have to take a mural break. Worst case scenario, I'll have to take a mural break for a while. And also maybe lean on my crew. So Lorraine is one of my right-hand women that helps me with my art, and she's graciously offered, like, I'll do all the painting, you just do the directing. So nothing can stop us, right, Lorraine? Like, somehow we're gonna get these murals happening. Like, even if I'm sitting in the director's chair and being like, more black, more blue. I know she's keen. We both believe in community projects and community art. So I'm gonna say yes, it's gonna happen somehow. There's that insanity. Thanks, Teresa. Well, I appreciate it. It's 11 o'clock, and maybe I could hear, I'd love to know who's on here. I know a little bit, I've seen a few of you, but if anybody would like to say hi and let me know where you're from, I'd love that. It's very cool. I can scroll over here and see, and how many people are artists on here, and how many people are starting to be an artist and just learning. If anybody wants to write to Cynthia and let me know, like, I'd love to know what your feedback is, anything. I see Nancy.
Hello, Leah.
Hi.
It's great to see this, and your workshop looks awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've never seen so many pieces in your space before. It's incredible.
It's pretty
And please do some more of the black and white. That's my absolute favorite. I love that stage before you add all that color. I mean, I love the colored ones too, but that's just really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. And whenever I do that first mapping, I think it's done. This is great. And it has almost like a graphic novel look to it. And I haven't yet, because I think I haven't had enough guts to do it. And also haven't had a little bit of time kind of doing these projects, but thank you for always mentioning that, because it feels good to have someone else say that they see that beauty and just that base layer. And we're talking about how that raven looks, which I'll just bring back over to you guys. Yeah. This level. What do you guys think? Is that, when that's finished, will that look complete?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, I'll give you another little run through. And
There's a question here from Melanie. She says, Bill is wondering, because your home is your studio and your studio is your home, how do you decide when to paint? When do you put your paintbrush down?
I put my paintbrush down. Right. That's a really great question, because I constantly daydream about more space, studio space. I have rented outside studio space and I've struggled to get there. Of course, I've had a day job in the past few years. And so like everyone, I come home and tired from your day job, make dinner, and then you have to go a few blocks or wherever the studio is, drive over to the studio. And I have not been really good at that. And I find like, well, I'll just watch some TV and I'll do this and this. And before it, I know it's 9 o'clock. And sometimes when I've made it over there, it's 9 o'clock and I'll paint till 1. Once you get there, it happens. You're in the zone. But to answer the question, I've been trying to kind of work Monday to Friday, have some kind of B-word balance. But I work pretty much 7 days a week. And it's not work because it's your passion, and you're a creative person. So as you can see, I work on multiple pieces at a time. Thanks for waiting for your piece, Melanie. And sometimes these other projects come up and you have to kind of jump back and forth. And sometimes I've got a perfect color mixed and I go, where can I paint? Oh, this will be perfect on this guy. So I paint throughout the day and into the evening. Like I kind of interrupt it, and it's interrupted by the mundanity of life. You know, I got to do the dishes. I got to feed Clyde. I got to do this kind of stuff. So I work, have a little real break, life break, work, and that finds me even in the evening. I'll just sketch that out. So it's tough. It's tough. I've been longing to add on to this house, so that I have a little bit more space, a little bit more free zone, if you will. And but it is what it is. I have had people kind of wanting to start their art practice, and they've been really like, oh, wait, I don't have a space yet, and I don't have this room, and I don't have this. And I can tell you that for many years I worked on the floor, or I worked on my coffee table, because I just didn't have a setup, and just really try to make whatever you have work. And I have some friends that come in and tease me that my house is really cluttered and got all this stuff around here. It's like, it is what it is. I live in a studio. So yeah, it's tough, but I think that's how I'm able to kind of produce a lot too, because I'm in the space. I can pick up a brush. Sometimes I'm on my way to a meeting or something like that, and I'll be like, I got 20 minutes. I'll just quickly like add something. I'm able to do that. I think because it's realism. So you're doing this application rather than say abstract expressionism. I could see you would have to create a real zone for yourself and a space to conjure that texture. But for me, it's building a depth. I can steal 20 minutes here and there if I need to, which I do. And but yeah, good question. I'm painting all the time, basically.
Just a few comments here at the end that I can read. There's actually been lovely comments throughout. Teresa says, enjoyed this time with you. Thank you for sharing your home and story, sending positive thoughts for healing. Charlotte says, thanks for sharing, so inspiring. And then there's the question from Melanie that I read. Nancy says, I'm in Squamish. I saw your work first in the Inuit Gallery a few years ago and fell in love immediately. Been following you ever since. Teresa says,
oh, awesome.
Hello, artist from Smithers. I used to visit your old Hazelton shop. It was a special place. I am grateful to have some of your prints. Melanie says it's well worth the wait for her piece. And Nancy says, your home is so beautiful and inspiring, like your work. Thank you so much for sharing. And maybe there was actually a question earlier regarding your home that Sarah asked, and it was, she asked, I think, is it always so tidy and organized? So that might be worth answering.
The answer is no. But as a realist and super detail oriented, I go a little crazy if there's too much stuff around. So I did clean up a little bit today, but yes and no. I try to, because it's so small and I live in the space too. I do try and keep on top of it. I'm glad you think it's tidy. So usually my counter is covered with stuff. I can't, that's that insanity part. And having a bit of an injury these days, it's like the laundry I can't get to, the dishes I can't get to. And so lately it's been a lot more cluttered and messy. And so, yeah, no, it's not. It's not always so tidy. Thanks for saying it's tidy though. Yeah. And some people have come into my space kind of have wanted to see paint splatters and paint dripped everywhere. And if you see my work, it's so detailed that it's like, there's only a few drips around here.
I wanted to say a comment. I tried to send it, but I couldn't figure out how to send it. So I'm going to read it out. It says, awesome how you can express all your multitasking lifestyle. Delightful to share your heart's passion. Merci, Leah.
Oh, merci, Lorraine. The house misses you.
So Sarah says, she says, phew, regarding that your house isn't clean. I don't get how you do that. I'm so messy when I paint. And then Melanie says, thank you so much for sharing your home studio approach inspiration. It reflects who you are in such a beautiful way.
Oh, thank you so much, Melanie. Thanks everybody for tuning in and giving me a chance to visit with you and share what I've been doing. Like I said, I've been really looking forward to this. When there's this many pieces in the house, I'm just eager to show somebody come into my house and see what's happening.
So yeah, I think we could, I think people could stay on if they want. And we have until 12 booked. We don't need to use all that time. But I think there's time for some conversation if people want that. But we can also end early if this is enough.
Bye, Sarah. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you someday soon and working together. I wonder if Simone's still on. Okay.
Yep, I'm still here, Leah.
Hi, Simone.
I was just saying, you said earlier you'd like to come and see my studio. Oh my God, no, you wouldn't, because your place is immaculate. You should see I'm down in the basement. There's clay everywhere. And yeah, you would not care to have a video tour of my place. I believe me.
Honestly, that's what I would love to see. I mean, like some people are disappointed that my house is so tidy. It's like, I want to see where you're at.
Mud on the walls.
Yeah. I want to see all that. Like, I'd love just to see the setup and the space and all the crazy stuff. Is the more the better. And
well, hopefully you'll be able to come over one day when this crazy COVID thing is done. And yeah, I don't think I could fill up 2 hours with showing and talking. Well, that could be a lie because it's kind of like verbal diarrhea, right? I've got that. Yeah. Anyway, it's been a pleasure seeing your stuff and your work. And I love the buffalo. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. It's finally turned a corner and starting to look like a buffalo. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it looks great. Just keep it up and feel better so you can keep working and look forward to those murals you're dreaming about.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thanks for signing on today.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, and I look forward to the next one. Take
Me
care.
too. Thank you. Bye,
I'm
friend.
I'm gonna sign off now, though. Okay. My dogs
Ciao.
want to go out in the sun. Bye-bye. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The dogs want to go out in the sun. Yeah, sunshine.
Thanks,
Isn't it hilarious?
Leah. This has
No.
really been wonderful. And I don't see you out and about anymore or anybody else. But this has just been such a pleasure to look at your wonderful new projects and see where you work and learn more about your process. So thank you very much. Deeply appreciated. Love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for being here.